A lot of my practice kind of aligns with my past as a photographer. It just kind of manifests in a new physical way. I view mold making in adjacent to photography, whereas photography, you have a negative and you're making multiple prints from there. I see mold making as the same way, with the mold being the negative itself and the cast being the positives or the prints. My name is Tayler Buss, and I'm an artist based in Winnipeg, Manitoba. So I create assemblage sculptures that are made from found objects and plaster cast. Right now, I'm working on a sculpture that incorporates plaster casting and textile work. The plaster cast will be placed on the floor in the shape of a rectangle, and the soft sculpture will be set on top of the cast. The soft sculpture is made from this really unique material that I found at a secondhand store that almost is like a velvet, and it's very shiny and soft. The plaster is really hard and it's dusty and it's matte and it doesn't have much textural information. So I think that just creates a really interesting conversation between the two materials. My artistic process begins at finding an object to make a mold out of, and I like to find these objects at secondhand stores or recycled construction material stores. So once the object has been picked for the mold, I can begin the mold making process. When you make a mold, you're essentially taking an object and you're almost taking a 3D photo of it. And from there, you're able to pour plaster in it or any other material to create a cast that is a perfect replica of what the mold is. From there, I'll just make a few more copies of the same cast, and then I can start working on a potential sculpture with it. Once I have a few casts created, I like to start considering what the sculpture could look like. So that involves going to secondhand stores and picking out materials that I can create these assemblages with. From there, I'll bring it back to my studio, start combining it with these casts and kind of see what happens with it. And since it's these kind of secondhand unique materials that are really fueling the visual aesthetic of these sculptures, I like to let the object guide me in what the final composition of the sculptures will look like. When I make a mold of an object, I feel as if I'm preserving the essence of an object by capturing all of the tiny details that the object has on its surface. From there, I can make copies of it and replications of it. I see that as a way of prolonging its life and preserving the original object. When I make a cast, I kind of question the nature of the cast in terms of my own mortality. And I'm questioning if this cast will be around longer than I am. I like to consider how objects outlast human bodies. We possess objects and we have them for most of our lives in some cases until we've passed away. And those objects will either end up in the garbage or at secondhand stores. So I see objects as a way of carrying on our legacy, but also confronting our own mortality.